Okay, students, we're going to finish off exercise 4.1 by doing two questions, two parts of question 18. So, sketch the graph of each function showing the coordinates of the intercepts and the equations of the asymptotes. So that's our plan, or that's our goal. Let's get started. So there's the equation. Y equals 1 over x take 2 plus 4. So step number one for all of these questions is to work out the asymptotes. So because we got x take away 2, the graph has been moved 2 units to the right. So the vertical asymptote is at x equals 2. So I've got my little asymptote that I've neatly drawn. So there it is right there. You're going to have to just do this with your neatly with your pen. And because we move the whole graph up, the y-asymptote is y equals 4. Let me count that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. So there's my two asymptotes in place, and I'm going to write the equations next to those. So this is the equation y equals 4. And this one is the equation x equals 2. So that's step number one. Okay, and we know the basic graph, because A is positive, we're going to have a graph up there and a graph down there. Probably the easiest way to actually sketch the graph is to find the coordinates of the intercepts. So let's do that next. So if I'm trying to find where it crosses the y-axis, I want the y-intercept, so it's going to be somewhere on this line just here. I have to set x equal to 0. So what you might want to do right now is set x equal to 0 and solve for y. Okay, I'll better shift that on down. My little graph program here sometimes leaves out the fraction bars. There we go. There it comes back. So that's a little bit better. So set x equal to 0, and that gives us 1 over negative 2 plus 4. That's 4 plus negative a half, which is 3.5. So one intercept is at 0, 3.5. So I'm going to go ahead and plot that point. I'm going to draw my graph in red, I think. So when x is 0, y is 3.5. 1, 2, 3.5. So there's the point just there. Okay, let me go ahead and continue. Okay, let's get the x-intercept, which means y equals 0. This one's a little bit trickier. Set y equal to 0 in that equation up there and solve for x. So again, you might want to have a go at doing that on your own. So pause the video if you wish to do so. Highly recommended, by the way. Okay, so put 0 in for y and solve that equation. So step 1, subtract 4 from both sides, which gives you that. To get the x out of the denominator, multiply both sides by x take 2. And that gives us negative 4 times x take 2 on the left. And all that's left on the right is just a 1. Next step is to expand the brackets. So that gives us negative 4x, and negative 4 times negative 2 is plus 8. We're almost there. Subtract 8 from both sides, and that gives us negative 7 on the right-hand side. And the last step is to just divide both sides by negative 4. Negative divided by negative is a positive, and there's the x-intercept. So 7/4, 0. So 7/4 is 1 3/4, 0. So that's going to be just about there. And I'll sketch the graph. Oops, that's not very neat, but that'll have to do. There's the graph just there. and it's going to be a mirror image just up here. So I could actually go ahead and, no, I'm not going to bother plotting the points. I'll just do the mirror image just up there. And there's my sketch of the graph. If you wanted to, of course, you could sketch that in Desmos or on your graphics calculator and just check it against what you've done down here. Okay, so that's a little bit of a challenging question, but with practice, not too bad. Okay, and I'd like you to have a go at doing the same thing for question E. Slightly more tricky because you've got a -2, which means you've got to flip the graph in the x-axis. Okay, so stop the video and have a go, please. Okay, quickly just show you the solutions. So because we've got x plus 1, we've moved the whole graph 1 unit to the left, so the asymptotes are at x equals 1. And because we moved the whole graph down 1, it's the other asymptote is at y equals -1. Okay, doing the intercepts, as before, I did the y-intercept first, so I set x equal to 0, and solved it and got 0, -3. There's all the working there. Once again, I tend to lose I gotta use my mouse, not my pen, to get my fraction bar back. So there's the y-intercept, and then the x-intercept, similar to what we did before. So set y equal to 0, solve the equation, and the final graph, once you've actually done this, should look something like that. So there's the 2 intercepts that I found, and I do that in a lovely green, and there's the equations of the 2 asymptotes. And I think that is the end of section 4.1. So my suggestion now is go to the textbook and just do a range of questions out of the textbook, checking answers from the back of the book as you go. And we'll see you in the next video on section 4.2.